Greetings and konnichiwa, and welcome to the Onyx Tavern. I'm your host, Rick the Bard, keep bringing you episode 151 here at the Tavern, presented by HeroTaku.com. Now, before we get started, I just want to give a brief shout out to Dan, who did not leave his last name, but he did leave a donation to the Onyx Tavern's Patreon account. So, Dan, I want to thank you for donating. Every little bit does help here, and of course, your name will be added to the end title sequence here. And for those of you who have yet to donate, please do so. Follow the link to the Patreon account down below, or you can go ahead and pay me directly through my PayPal account. Either is acceptable. Again, every little bit helps. And Dan, I do want to thank you. And if I find out your last name, I'll give you full credit, I guess. So again, thank you for that. All right, so Power Rangers Dino Charge. As I said before, I really like this series. I think it's good. And the thing is, what's really good about it that we did not get in the last several seasons is I do think we have a lot of good character episodes, and we do have a lot of good characters in that show. And it seems to me that what they're doing is they are focusing on the characters. They're focusing on Tyler and his father, Coda adjusting to the world, Chase learning humility, Riley learning how to use his intelligence as an asset, Shelby getting to choose her destiny and what she wants to do as opposed to what others around her want her to do. And then I think with Ivan, it's just kind of comic relief. He doesn't really have too much of a lesson to learn at this point. But we are focusing on our six main Rangers and their character growth. Again, which is great. Now, the problem with this, if there is one, and well, I guess it is that while we're focusing on the here and now and developing our characters, it does leave other characters out of the mix where I do think we need to focus on them a little bit more, and not so much their character development, but what they offer to the team. Not to mention, I think we're also missing out on some important backstory and world building and establishing of other characters and past events that would better inform what's going on. So, in that roundabout way, here's basically what we're going to go ahead and do. I have three questions regarding Power Rangers Dino Charge in its entirety. Now, I probably should save this for the end of the series to see if they address these questions or not. But frankly, based on what I'm seeing and based on what we've had into the past, it's likely they're not going to address any of the things that I'm bringing up here. If they do, that's great. But as of right now, as of right before Home Run Coda, which I have not seen simply because I don't think it's going to inform my opinion one way or another based on what I'm about to go ahead and tell you, these are three questions they have not addressed that I don't believe they're going to address, but I think they need to address within the series. So let's get into these three questions that I have. Question 1. Why isn't Prince Philip bankrolling the Rangers? Now, think about this for a second. In other media, and let's take comic books and movies right now, what are the two big franchises? DC and Marvel, of course. Well, the Avengers, they're a superhero team just like the Power Rangers. Who's bankrolling them? Oh, yes, Tony Stark, the playboy billionaire, who has his Iron Man technology, who's able to give them jets, and headquarters, and stealth technology, and create rogue AI. All right, so that's what Tony's doing with his money to go ahead and help the Avengers. What's Batman doing over for the Justice League? Well, hey, billionaire playboy who's using his Bat Blackberry and Bat credit card to bankroll the Justice League for weapons, the Watchtower, and to fund a rogue AI. Kind of odd, interesting parallels between those two, but you guys already knew that. I'm making a point that Movie Bob made, Bob Chipman did in one of his videos, how basically every problem that the Justice League has, Batman can pretty much solve by throwing money at it, and I would say Tony Stark in a similar vein. But the Power Rangers have their own billionaire on their team in the name of Prince Philip. We've been through his character development where, he has to act, he has to be humbled. He has to, learn his lesson, about other people, treating them with respect. And then, of course, when he learns that lesson and does something selflessly, he becomes the Graphite Ranger. Now, again, as I said at the beginning of this video, we're focusing our six main Rangers, and Philip really has no development after he becomes the Graphite Ranger. He comes in a couple of times, and then he's out just to fight. He isn't doing anything significant as the Prince of Xandar. Because, you have to think to yourself, why make him the Prince of Xandar if you're not going to do anything with it? Now, true, it is Xandar that, we set up with Ivan. We did set up with the Gold Energem. And then, of course, he uses his company to find the Graphite Energem, and he tries to use his money and significant wealth to, to become the Graphite Ranger. But you could do all those things without making him rich. So my question is, why did you make him rich in the first place if his money is not going to be an influence on the team? It would seem to be that what you would do in the first 20 episodes of Dino Charge is establish that, Morgan's got her own lab going on here, and she's cobbling together stuff to make weapons and everything, and she's doing her best. And then in comes the Graphite Ranger, who can give her unlimited funds to make whatever she wants. And by the time we get to Supercharge, that's when she has all these new weapons. We get the extra Dino Drive, whatever they were calling it, that new sword that holds all the batteries in the Megazord, the Carnival mode, or whatever they're calling it now over there. That when we got to Supercharge, what makes it super is that now she can afford to do the research, to buy the materials, and do whatever she needs to make new weapons. But that's not the case at all. It seems that what's bankrolling the Rangers right now is their burger operation, which of course they did not utilize a little bit more after Shelby's father was able to teach him how to make a $6 hamburger for $2 or whatever that was exactly. But to my main point here, why is it that Philip is not using his money and considerable resources to fund the Dino Charge team? Now, you can argue he doesn't have that much money, but when your name is Prince, or you were formerly known as Prince, I would think that you have a significant amount of money at your disposal. We saw him use that money to fill the food shelters. He's got those excavation teams. He's able to fly at a moment's notice from Europe to the United States to help the Rangers. Obviously, he's got his private jet. They got advanced robotics in Xandar. This guy is loaded. I don't think we have established that he doesn't have money. We know he does have money. So why isn't he this group's Bruce Wayne? Why isn't he this group's Tony Stark? Why isn't he funding a better base? Why isn't he donating more money to the museum? Why isn't he getting better technology for Dr. Morgan? Why isn't he doing any of this stuff to help the Rangers? Why isn't that a particular plot point? Because it's like, again, let's use the Justice League analogy. It's like, say, Flash, Green Arrow, and or that's a bad example. What if Flash and Superman and Green Lantern all got together and made Justice League, but they have no resources outside of Superman's Fortress of Solitude, and then Batman comes along and Batman doesn't use his money for anything. Heck, with the Justice League cartoon, the first episode established with the Watchtower was built by Batman, and he basically gave it to the league saying, hey, we need a base of operations. How about this, quadrillion-dollar space station that I secretly built, or something. I forget the backstory of it exactly. The point is, Philip has money. He's not using it. Why isn't he using the money? Because that could be one of the greatest assets to the Rangers, is using money to help them become Power Rangers for new weapons. I would say it's for new Zords, but we don't even get that because, creating new Zords would be a logical thing. And of course, somebody like Hartford could do it, then I'm sure that Philip could do it as well, right? I don't know. It's just a big question that I don't think they're going to address, because it seems what they did is they introduced him, got his story out of the way, and now just bring him in as a hired gun. Which is disappointing, because again, Philip is one of my favorite characters, if not my favorite. I'm also going to say that I'm disappointed they haven't brought Albert back into the series yet, because Albert was amazing. He was great. I wish they would bring Albert back. Alright, let's go to the second question I have. What's the deal with Keeper? Now, of course, that's a big spanning question that has to really do with the Energems, his mission, all that kind of stuff. Because I believe he said in the last episode, or second to last episode, he's like, once we find the Silver Energem, I can get back to my mission of guarding the Energems. Okay, wait a second. Let's back up right here. Is your mission to guard the inner gems? Something you have not been doing for 65 million years. And I do want to bring that fact up here in just a second. But here's what the opening episode and the titles always tell us is that Keeper is the guardian of the inner gems, 10 powerful mystical stones, which I do believe they're magic, and I'll get into that here in a second. He's the guardian of these gems, and a bounty hunter named Sledge is after him. Okay, there's your setup. But then for 65 million years, they're lost somewhere on Earth. Who knows what the heck he's been doing? I think he was flash fossilized, like Seymour from Futurama. And of course, he's getting back to it. He's not the most active mentor in the world because he's only left the base, I think, twice in the entire series at this time, and he's not actively looking for them. But here's the question, is like, what is his mission exactly? Because he's guarding them, but he was in a ship being chased. So that tells me that he was probably on his way to another location. It wasn't like he was on a planet and Sledge burst in to take the gems. It's likely he was traveling from point A to point B and was intercepted by Sledge and had to, detour his way to Earth. So what was he doing before Sledge caught up to him? Where were the inner gems going? Also, it is his mission. Okay, who gave you that mission? Because it's not like, it's not like I go to the store and buy a bunch of eggs and say it's my mission to guard these eggs until I get home. That's not how that works. Somebody has to tell you to guard the inner gems. So, who is Keeper working for exactly? Is he working for, a government of some kind? Is he working for another planet? Is he working for the military, a science research? Is he working for a mystical cult? Who is he working for? Who said to this guy, keep the inner gems safe? Who said that? And then what's his ultimate goal? Once he gets the 10 air gems back, which is going to be the end of the series, of course, once he gets them back, then what is he going to do with them? Where's he going? Because it seems to me that once he gets all 10 air gems, there's going to be no need for the Rangers. Therefore, he's going to take the air gems, debond them from everyone, which we know he can go ahead and do, and take them to wherever. But where is wherever? And then here's another thing as well. He's entrusted to guard the inner gems. By who? We don't know. But it's been 65 million years since he was given that mission, supposedly. So, is the person who gave him this mission still around? I mean, that's a legitimate question here, because he's been on the run from Sledge for 65 million years. So he gets the inner gems. Where is he going to go? Where did the inner gems go? The person who entrusted him to keep these gems, is he going to go back to him? I doubt he's alive after 65 million years. Which goes into the next question. Let's kind of bleed over to the next part is, who is Sledge working for? Now, of course, Sledge is presumably dead at this point, and we have Heckle, and I want to talk about him. This question is really going to encompass the villains as a whole, if that's what you want to call them, because I do have some doubts whether they are the villains. I mean, they are definitely the antagonists, but are they villains? Well, again, let's talk about that. Sledge does mention, I believe, in a previous episode, probably the same one with Keeper here, is that his employer wants the inner gems. And that's a brief line that may have go over some people's head, but it says his employer wants the inner gems. Who is his employer? Who gave Sledge this mission? Because what a lot of people are forgetting is that Sledge is a bounty hunter. And I said this when the series started. It doesn't mean that he is a evil bad guy. Is that he's Dog the Bounty Hunter, basically. Somebody is paying him money to apprehend somebody or find something. Actually, let's not even use Dog. Let's use King Schultz from Django Unchained, which if you have not seen, you better go see, because Christoph Waltz, he is awesome in that film. But yeah, let's look at King Schultz. Sledge is essentially King Schultz. And what does King Schultz do through Django Unchained? He kills people for money through the U.S. government, which is a completely legal action. Now, what that tells me is that Sledge is working for somebody through a legitimate government. Now, whether that's the Space Federation or the United Alliance of Evil or whoever, somebody is paying him to go get the inner gems. For what purpose? Okay, maybe an evil purpose, or maybe it's a legitimate purpose. This kind of goes back to my question of Keeper. Do we know Keeper's on the right side? What if there is this galactic conflict going on that the Rangers are not aware about, and Keeper's on the antagonist side, whereas Sledge is on the good side? Because again, we don't know what they're aligned here for. Because Keeper's mission is just to protect the inner gems. That's all he's interested in doing. Sledge is just to get the inner gems. And the only reason he really attacks Earth is to draw the Rangers out to get the inner gems. Now, I'm not saying that he's the good guy here. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm just saying it seems rather ambiguous at best. Is that somebody has hired him, we don't know who, to get the inner gems. And again, what's the ultimate end goal? Because Sledge obviously wants power, he wants money, because that's why he has all those prisoners on that ship, is that, again, he wants money for them. And let's talk about the big 65 million year gap, because here's the thing. I'll buy that Keeper was flash fossilized on Earth. I'll buy that. I'll even buy that Fury has been walking around Earth for 65 million years and hasn't found one single inner gem. I find that kind of stupid, but okay. But Sledge being knocked out of orbit and thrown into space for 65 million years is more incompetent than Nero sent around doing nothing for 27 years in Star Trek 12. Or Star Trek 11, excuse me about that. Star Trek 11. At least they had an explanation he was in a Klingon prison camp. He was in Rurapente. But we have no accounts of what Sledge was doing for that 65 million years, which again brings up the questions. Whoever put Keeper in charge of the inner gems is probably long gone by now. Whoever hired Sledge is long gone by now, most likely. And whatever the purpose was to get them in the first place is long gone. Not to mention, let's keep in mind that all his criminals that he has on that ship, I guarantee you statute of limitations has run out on, maybe all of them. Because I don't care, if you murdered somebody today and you were frozen in amber or fossilized, whatever, and lived for the next 65 million years, I think after 65 million years, you'd probably get pardoned or something like that. Which leads to the question of why they're even still on the ship. Because you can say that Sledge, his ship was damaged and he had to go get repaired and come back, but why didn't he drop off all his bounties and collect his money and come back with bigger, better weapons? Heck, he could have at least upgraded his ship and his weapons or hired more mercenaries to help him in the 65 million year term. And of course, why didn't he come back before now? Again, so many questions are unanswered here. And I have to also ask, because again, what's the deal with Sledge here? He points out with Heckle, who's in maximum security on his ship, that he's destroyed a galaxy, and that he said, we've all destroyed galaxies. Which, why would a bounty hunter destroy a galaxy? I mean, think about that for a second. Where's the profit in destroying a galaxy? Now, of course, space is infinite, so destroying a galaxy is probable. We've only seen planet busters and Power Rangers. We've never seen anything destroy his entire galaxy. But if a simple bounty hunter can do it, what does that mean exactly? The bounty hunter can destroy a whole galaxy, and of course, Heckle can destroy a whole galaxy. And it would seem to me as well that Heckle is imprisoned for destroying a galaxy, something that Sledge has done, but he's not being punished for. Again, I keep kind of going these different directions here, but again, what is the deal with Sledge? Are we going to find out who his employer is? I would say this is the most likely thing we're going to get answered because it might be the big bad of the series that comes in at the end. Oh, and also Singe, real quick. He comes in because he hears that they're looking for the inner gems on Earth that Heckle is. How does he know? Exactly. Again, and this has been, 65 million years after they went missing, because even if Sludge went missing 65 million years ago, who's still going to have records of that or know that the inner gems are around? Because it seems to me that the inner gems being missing is something that would have been lost to time. They've gone the legend to rumor to myth and all that kind of stuff. Um, I don't know. These are just questions that the series really needs to be asking itself, and it's got a great writer, working for him. One of the I don't even know if he's my favorite writer, but he's certainly one of the better writers because he did give us some good episodes in Turbo. Judd Lint gave us some great episodes in Power Rangers in Space, and all the other projects that he did work on. He's been pretty good for the series, I would say, as a whole, and he's a smarter, more competent writer than this because I think that we need to know these things. We need to know why you're not taking advantage of your resources in Prince Philip. We need to know what Keeper's mission ultimately is. We want to know why Sledge is ultimately after the inner gems and why the 65 million year gap. Because I watched The Man from Earth not too long ago here, and that guy was like 14,000 years old. And a lot changes in 14,000 years for Mr. Oldman. But what about 65 million years? Because even if you subscribe to Linkara's belief that a year is longer in a Power Rangers universe than it is in our universe, because again, a year's 365 days, to the Power Rangers, it might be the equivalent of 2-3 years in our time, so forth. So, like, not 900 days and all that. Even if you subscribe to that theory, 65 million years is still a long, 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 long time to be doing nothing. That's why I say, again, Sludge doing nothing for 65 million years. Keeper probably had an excuse. Again, he was probably fossilized. And of course, Fury. Fury is the height of incompetence. I mean, say what you will about Real Revolto and Lothor and Elgar and all those villains. At least they accomplish stuff. Heck, Lothor captured all the ninjas. Rito destroyed the Thunder Zords. And Elgar destroyed the power chamber. So these things have happened from less competent villains, but I would say Sledge is at the height of incompetence if for 65 million years he and Fury could not find the inner gems. Fury, of course, being on Earth and right there when it happened. It's I don't know, man. I don't know. It doesn't really make a lot of sense. Now again, does that make Dino Charge a bad series? Absolutely not. But these are things that you need to really think about that they're not really addressing, and I want an answer. I want to know why this is not happening. I want to know why we can't spend a little bit of time on this, because I think, here's honestly, we have done enough with our character building stories. We know who the characters are. I don't think there's much more room for growth until the final wrap up. So that's what? How many episodes do we have left here? We have like 13 episodes until the finale, which will be a two-parter most likely. We got 12, 13 more episodes left. Let's slow down the character stuff and actually do some of the mythology. Talk about where the inner gems come from, what their purpose is, what's Keeper gonna do with them, what has Sledge been up to. Explain these things. Can we at least do that? Take at least one episode out. Heck, if you're gonna at least do the prerequisite clip show, which may be another Christmas episode, who knows? At least take the opportunity to explain yourself. That's what I'm gonna say. Go and explain yourself, Power Rangers. Let's figure this out. Okay, so I've rambled on enough about these questions. What do you guys think? Are these legitimate questions I have? Are these things you think are going to be answered within the series? Or do you have different opinions altogether on my opinions? So I definitely want to know what you guys think. So please leave a comment down below and let me know about it. Otherwise, I will see you next time. Thank you for listening. Have a good evening. And the tavern is now closed.